Wait for it. Wait for it. Ah, there we go. That's the beginning of a podcast. That sounds like a nice can of alcohols, doesn't it?
Yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. Alcohols.
Some alcohols, bro. So, now you guys might notice that Danny's sounding a little bit smooth. Danny, care to elaborate as to why that is?
Well, it just so happens that Danny's got a new mic.
Yeah, Daddy got a new mic.
Cueing accelerating music.
Accelerating music.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, fucking
party anthem.
What were you recording on before this?
Oh, dude. That was a recording on a SingStar mic.
Yeah.
Yo, before we go too much on detail about it, let me just put out a disclaimer. Like, this is the first time that I'm using the mic.
Like, oh, so it might not sound as great as we're putting it out to be right now.
Maybe still needs some fine tuning, you know? Like, yeah, it's for starters. Like, this mic is the whole opposite of the mic that I had before, the SingStar mic, which is you know, like it was a really crappy mic. You know, you know, very low sensitivity, and you had to be really close to the mic, you know, in order for it to catch the sound.
Right.
And if you got too close, then it was too much, and it was just crap, you know. You know, you had to try to find a sweet spot, you know, in order for it to sound half decent.
Right. Just for it to sound half decent. But
yeah, which it never did. That's the problem.
Well, let's see. Let's see how it plays out. So, let me ask you this: did you get it just for the sake of the podcast, or is there another reason why you got this mic?
Well, obviously, this mic now enables a lot more things. You know, it's just like you think of even our little endeavor with the podcast thing, like. It was a bit disconcerting, you know, like just going through without a decent microphone, like a legit microphone. And when I say legit microphone, you know, it even one like the one you have, you know, the K669B, yeah.
It's like it's an okay microphone. I mean, it was like what, $20-30. It does the job for sure. And you know, hypothetically, if I wanted to record music on this microphone, it wouldn't be the best quality, but I could do it. And that was actually kind of what my question was oriented towards. Was I was asking you know, like, is there anything related to music that you would use the microphone for?
Absolutely.
I figured that would be like you know, you working with the podcast and you working with your musical endeavors now. I think that it does make sense for you to have a mic. It like doubly makes sense. Like you kill two birds with one stone, you know. So I think it's a smart move for you. It's a good investment. It's a very good investment for you.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think so too. Actually, along with this microphone. So this microphone, just for the people that are listening and that follow our podcast course, this microphone is the PodPack version of the Marantz MPM 1000, U1000, or 1000U, whatever. It's the USB version, not the XLR.
Okay.
So, you know, so as I described, very high sensitivity. You know, I have to be careful because now it's the other way around. It catches every little
up
noise.
Too much sound. Okay, gotcha. I see.
Yeah. yeah, I have to be careful. And it's hard to be careful
like a puff guard or anything.
See, that's one of the things with, like, not being fine tuned and stuff. Like earlier this afternoon, I tried to put together the pop shield that I had, but I was running into some difficulties, like, attaching it to the boom arm that the microphone is on,
situated
on. So right now I'm just going without anything, without any windshield or
gotcha.
whatever.
What was the pricing on that? Just because we talk about it in our podcast course. So this is something that you personally recommend using, right? Because you purchased it and you like it, right?
So far, so good. Yeah, man. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Like miles better than the previous one.
Right. So pricing wise, how much would it be to buy one of these?
I bought it for 50 euros.
50 euros. Gotcha.
Yeah. I bought it online on a musical instrument and related stuff marketplace called.
Gotcha.
I think it's Thomann. I think Nick and Austin are somewhat familiar with that. I'm not sure, but I think they are.
I see.
Yeah, it's just a big store.
So,
and I also
50 euros.
How
much would that come out to be in English? In English, fucking, that's hilarious. That's so
40
funny.
pounds.
Yeah, that's. I think I've gone pretty far away without saying something this dumb in the podcast so yeah, I'll take that, but that was really fucking stupid. How much would it be in dollars?
Like $55-$60.
Yeah,
maybe a little more. I don't know what the dollar goes now.
Let's see. $59. It's like $60.
Yeah, okay.
It's like $60 for the mic. So, okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah, the mic plus the boom arm and stuff. But yeah, and for another 10 euros, I got another thing that I recommended in the initial tools lesson, which was the Behringer. I think I'm saying it right. Behringer HPM 100. I think that's the name.
Gotcha. Which one of the ones you recommended?
Yeah, one of the headphones that I recommended, and like I still keep my recommendation up for that one for sure. It's
right.
How do I put it? It's it's very good at sort of canceling the noise. Like it really helps. Like if you try and like focus or something, like listening to something that helps you focus and not hear any like most external noises. That is really good. I think it traps the sound well as well.
And do you describe that in the podcast course?
Yeah, I'm just reiterating and adding like it. I guess I'm making a sort of update on that, and I guess I'm taking up too much time, but just really want to say
it's fine to explain it. I was just saying, I think you can get a really in-depth description of what the mic is if you go to our website and you go to our second lesson that Danny did like an in-depth dive into the tools that you need for a podcast. The written content is spectacular. Danny spent a lot of time on it. And then Danny also recorded like a whole lesson oriented towards what what tools you would need for a podcast. And at the very least, like if you don't want to, like if you're not listening to that for the sake of the podcast and you're listening to it for the sake of finding a good microphone, whether it be for your musical endeavors, for the podcast, I don't know, just for gaming or something like that. I would also recommend checking it. I would recommend checking out the podcast tools because we have a very in-depth microphone section.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I try to make it as
streamlined,
genre flexible as like anything that you're trying to do, whether it be podcasting, whether it be vlogging, streaming, music, all of these apply. Like this microphone right here, probably the most suitable for music things out of the microphones that I recommended in the lesson. Mm-hmm. And this is an update on these two tools, right? Because I most of the tools that I go over in the lesson, mm-hmm. I didn't have a direct experience with them,
right? Because you didn't buy it or use it.
Yeah, like I know, like for example, I know what the K669B. How do you say the name of the brand? How do you say the name?
Fifine.
Fifine.
Fifine. The Fifine. It's it's like one of those cheap Amazon brands, and I quite honestly I didn't expect anything really out of it. I was like, okay, well let me buy this and use this until I can get something better. But it turned out to be a decent microphone.
Yeah. Really, really good reviews, customer reviews on that microphone, and like I know what it sounds like, how the sound quality is.
Yeah, because you're mixing the audio all the time for us.
Yeah, because I'm editing your audio, and I know the quality of it, and it's really like something that you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah, $20-$30. Yeah, it's for that. This is a nice microphone for that. I can attest to that for sure. Like if you have a bigger budget, then it's not the best microphone out there. It's good. It's a decent microphone, and it's great for the price. That's just the best way to put it. But what you got was a bit more on the higher end, and it's more it's a bit more multi-purpose from what I understand. Or it's more oriented towards music than this one is at the very least, is what I understand.
I think it allows for more things, I guess, while still remaining somewhat reasonable priced.
Yeah, I mean, 50 euros, $60 is not that bad. It's really not that bad.
Yeah. As far as microphones, good quality condenser microphones go, mm-hmm. If you get something under 100, mm-hmm. you're making a good deal. If you're getting this one or the one that you have, you're making mm-hmm. a fucking great deal.
Yeah, for sure. This like what you have right now might be like an upgrade to go to if you're using like, I don't know, like your AirPods to record a podcast or something like that, It's definitely a step up from something like that. My microphone is a step up from that. And then your microphone would be like a step up from what I'm using, from what I understand. And then we definitely have like a range of different like price ranges for the microphones that we have listed. So definitely check that page out, check the lesson out, check the entire course out. We only have 2 courses out right now, but we're working on, it was either, I can't remember, it was a 7-part course or 9-part course. I think it was a 9-part course. And so we're working on getting, actually, no, I think it was 7-part, but we're working on getting, the other episodes, or the other lessons up and running. And we'll have like a comprehensive course that describes, and that describes how to make a podcast and the microphone, the podcast tools lesson holds that section about the microphone. Like what microphone to get. So that's the context of why, like, why we're talking about this. Besides the fact that, like, you're satisfied with the product that you have, this is why we're talking so much about the microphone. Is that it's an integral part of a project that we're working on currently, which is the How to Make a Podcast course. And so, what better opinion, what better review can you get than a review from somebody who's actively using a microphone? And so we're providing more context on one of the items that we use, or one of the items that we list for the second lesson in our podcast course. So please do check that out once again, and use this as a resource. Listen to how Danny sounds on this podcast and the podcast going forward, and see if you'd be interested in actually buying the same microphone, using the same microphone. So that was my salesman pitch.
Yep.
Which, speaking of which, that's something I want to talk about as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I heard you. Things are looking good. Yeah, from the recent updates. Was it yesterday? No. 2 days ago. That. Well, let's hear it from you. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're talking about the lead that I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Actually, by the way, I didn't tell you this, but I got a lead the next day as well. So, like, I ended up getting back to back,
like a boss
on days. Yeah. So I work for. I don't want to mention the company, just to keep it a little bit anonymous. But so the company that I work for it's a sales and marketing related company. It's based here in Austin, Texas, and I'm a sales development representative for the company. And what the company does is it provides lead generation services and data augmentation, marketing services to other companies. So it's kind of like I'm going to say it in kind of a very general way, but it's like an outsourced sales, marketing, and data company, which, when you hear about it, it sounds sketchy, right? It sounds kind of like, oh, it's like outsourced, like a third party, huh? Let me tell you, the company I work for is excellent. It's excellent. It's really good. It's a lot of work. Okay, so I'll speak about it from an employee perspective. I make pretty decent money, for the podcast, and I don't mean that's not for the podcast, for the work that I do, and I don't mean for that to sound pretentious, oh, I make a lot of money. It's no, it's they compensate me well for what I do, but it is quite a bit of work. They take care of me in terms of the benefits and stuff that they offer, so it's very good in that regard. I feel really financially stable working at this company, and very it's pretty good job security as well. So it's been good to have this opportunity, because I feel like I can once I'm done with my work for the day, I can put the rest of the time that I have towards whatever the hell I want, without having to worry about whether I'm making enough money or whether I'm going to be able to eat tomorrow. It's that's already taken care of. So it's been a huge relief for me. And then from the perspective of a consumer, an actual customer of the company that I work for, we have a really streamlined sales process. It's streamlined. It's very transparent to whoever's using it, and it's a very effective way to generate leads for your sales department, or to get data for your sales department, a list of leads or of prospects that you can contact. Is very, very good. We have a very streamlined process for that, and we have a lot of big names that have signed with us. I can't mention I don't want to mention any of the names, but we have a lot of big names that we work with. I work with a very big provider of telecom. One of the projects I work on is a pretty big provider of telecom overall. So it's quite nice having this job. It's been a very, very good way to get experience and kind of like dip my foot into like a lot of different industries, because I end up selling a lot of products for different kinds of companies that have different kinds of solutions, products, and different differentiating factors, things of that nature. So it's really good because I get exposure to a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. And so whatever industry of sales that I want to go into, this would be like a very good jumping point. So I foresee myself at this company for at least a couple of years, if not longer than that. So I'm quite happy at the moment. Yeah, I kind of ranted, huh, Danny?
No. You're good. I think people I think people understood the big picture of you, what you're doing, and what your role entails, how you profit from it.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I make like
not just financially, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's what it boils down to is it's you have the phone glued to your face for 6, how many hours a day?
8 hours.
8?
Yeah.
8 hours.
Yeah, so it's I don't know, it's kind of like an 8-hour phone sprint. That sounds like a pun, because phone sprint. But
right.
Yeah, it's a lot of phone calls, because I mean, if you boil it down, assuming that like I don't have to do anything administrative or like managerial during the course of the 8 hours, assuming that I get 8 hours a day, I have to make 15 phone calls per hour. So it is quite a bit of work. But I don't know. If you can't deal with it, then you shouldn't work. You shouldn't work for sales. Like I think that there's a certain pain threshold and a certain like largeness of the balls that you have to work in sales. You know,
right.
It's just like, I don't know, like just I don't know, like it's if you're talking to people all day, you got to have the audacity to ask for stuff, ask for meetings, ask for conversations, ask questions, push a little bit, be professionally aggressive. I think this is a good way to put it. Professionally and just don't be like it's a fine balance between like not being an asshole and also striving for what you want to get. And I think that sales is a very, very good career path for anyone that kind of like for people. A lot of times, I think the profile of people that it fits a lot of times is for people that have really good people skills, but they ended up picking the wrong major. Yeah, well, thanks. I appreciate that. And they ended up picking maybe the wrong major in college. That's a me thing. Or they decide that they ended up picking the wrong major in college because one, they don't enjoy their job after graduation, or the degree they got didn't land them any job at all. I think that sales is a very, very good way to get started in something that's productive, that's lucrative, and is just, I don't know, it's a very noble career path that's been around for a while. It has a lot of history, and I think the way it was put was, people don't like, a lot of people in the world don't like salespeople. Like you've seen like the Wolf of Wall Street and like calling people, trying to get them to like buy stocks and stuff. But I mean, without salespeople, there'd be no purchasing. There'd be like much less purchasing, and without purchasing, there'd be no flow of money in the economy. Without no flow in the economy, we wouldn't fucking have a world market. And so, to anyone who thinks that salespeople are irrelevant or like are useless, I want to say that you're either an engineer or you're stupid.
You're either an engineer.
Yeah. That's my personal opinion. You're either an engineer or you're dumb. Which, I mean, those can be two in the same.
I get
in some instances. Yeah, but
I get you though. Like you need a whole different set of skills to go through sales on a daily basis, and all the work that entails, cold calls and
Follow-ups.
Yeah, all that stuff. You gotta be. It's a lot of very people skills. Like
it requires a lot of that.
Human, very social and human qualities like persistence and thick skin, being assertive, but also being, respectful.
Yeah, it's a mixture of all of it. Definitely.
Yeah, and patient and.
Definitely patient, because a lot of people will say things that you just really don't want to hear. I had this guy going like, don't ever call me. Like I've had stuff like that.
Right.
I've gotten just like no, or like I've gotten people that just hang up as soon as they hear my voice. Lots of different kinds of characters out there. But I don't know. Just you got to learn how to roll with the punches. Like, that's literally what sales is. But I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's been good to me. I feel tired every day, but I also feel like I've done something at the end of the day. Where it's like, okay, actually, scratch that. Let me describe this. Okay, let me describe something about sales. You don't get a result every single day. Because the thing is, I have a certain quota for amount of leads that I have to generate, amount of meetings that I've set, and things like that. And it's not every day. Actually, most days I don't get a lead, and that's just the way it works. Like you're just not gonna get something. So you're gonna make 120 dials over the course of the day, and you're more likely to not get something out of it than to get something out of it. And so it's like soul crushing in that sense, where it's like, oh, I spent this entire day calling people. I've gotten absolutely fucking nothing. But you know what it does though? Whenever you don't get stuff like that, it makes the days where you get a lead and you get some sort of progress so much better. It's fantastic. It's like whenever you get a lead, you're like, okay, well, you know what?
Right.
The last 4 days I haven't gotten any leads, and you know what? On this Friday, I just got this fucking lead. Which is, by the way, this is kind of like the feeling that I had the other, like literally on Friday. Although I guess I got leads back to back, but prior to that, I hadn't gotten the lead for like a week and a half, so I was kind of panicking a little bit.
Right.
And so I was like, oh shit, I haven't gotten anything. And so like I went a week and a half, like a good 7 business days without getting a lead. And I was like, oh shit, well, I'm like not doing very good right now. Like a lot of negativity, like feeling of like, oh shit, like what am I even fucking doing? But the thing is, like, even when you have that, like, you gotta fucking roll through and keep fucking calling. You gotta keep hunting. Is the way I think about it. It's like, if you don't hunt, then you don't eat. It's very
right.
It's very, very much the way that I think about sales. Is you hunt and you find your prospects. I don't want to like think about like your prospects as like as like fucking animals that you're gonna like kill or something like that. That's not the point. It's like
right.
But you do have to hunt for opportunities. Yeah. And if you don't get the opportunities, then you don't get paid. If you don't get paid, you don't eat. So it's very much like I don't know. There's kind of like a hunter mentality behind sales, I think.
Right. No. I think it's a very accurate analogy, the hunting analogy, because you dependent. It's results dependent. It's not just participation. You don't just clock in and out and like expect it to be okay. You gotta put in the work in order to get the results for your company. Otherwise, your job, your
out of a job,
permanence, your status in the company will become non-existent. So I think like you said, you gotta eat. You gotta get those leads. You gotta get those people to get on board with you. And
absolutely.
it must be it must be a little, well, difficult sometimes, because you like the way you describe it, you are in this limbo when you don't get leads. You just gotta roll with the punches, and you keep going and until you get the lead. But sometimes it can be kind of stressful and disheartening, and like you kind of it gets you into a frenzy, like going from one lead to the next one. If too much time starts to go without getting a lead, you start getting a little anxious, don't you?
Yeah,
it's like
definitely. That's absolutely soul crushing.
Yeah.
I will say I think that the way I got the 2 leads that I did, I started to key into like kind of commonalities or certain patterns that help me get a lot more leads. And what I've been an observation that I've made, a couple observations that I've made, is that with the calls that I make, I work from 8 to 5, and I have an hour lunch. So I work at least 8 hours a day, at least. And the first month that I was there, I had a class or like a meeting that I had to attend from 8 to 9. It was like a training essentially for new hires. And during that time, I wasn't making dials, obviously, because I'm in class, right? And so I'd start dialing from like 9:30. Like, I might take like 30 minutes to like situate myself, like go over a pitch or something like that, and like prepare myself for the rest of the day. And then I would actually go into it. That's kind of how it was. But I learned that, like, have you heard it, like the was it the 4-hour work week or the 7-hour work week? Like the book where it's like it's like a book basically talking about like from what I understand, it's essentially like you adopt good habits, and that, let's see, it's like, okay, I'll just describe what I do, and it's, from what I understand, it's relevant to what the book advocates. The guy in the book, what he did was he would call from like 7 or like 6 in the morning, like an early time, and he'd like start early on in the day, calling, and then for the rest of the day he would kind of like do other things. But the reason why is because you want to call whenever people are, one, not expecting phone calls, and two, because they're not expecting phone calls, they're more likely to pick up. And in the mornings, a lot of times you have that kind of chill time before you actually start working, for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Like you might have that like coffee time where you're starting to like reboot and like trying to like, like get ready for the day and stuff. But what I started doing was I noticed that a lot of people at my company would start dialing maybe at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And so what I started doing was I started dialing right at 8 whenever the day started. So that first hour of the day from 8 to 9, that is the absolute best times to get connections with people. Both leads that I got them before 9 o'clock on those 2 days, on Thursday and Friday.
Wow.
I got them both before 9 o'clock. And I think they were both in Kentucky as well. That's the other thing. So it's like, that would have been like it would have been like 9:30 their time. So like it was pretty early in the morning. And that I got both leads during that time frame. And so I discovered that, okay, that's prime time. 8 to 9 is prime time, and I should really prioritize calling people during that time. For the rest of the day, I can maybe fuck off and do something else. I don't want to say fuck off and do something else, but it's like I could put in like other things that I'm doing. Like, I don't know, I could edit like a pitch that I'm using, or maybe write like a lead summary if I got a lead early in the morning. But from 8 to 9, I'm dialing. I'm making calls. And my goal is usually I make at least 20 calls from 8 to 9. And I mean, it's worked out good for me so far. So that's going to be like a thing that I continue using, I think. It's the best time to connect. And then, let's see, that's another habit. I also learned that if you can optimize your process for like sending out an email or for updating your database, and you can save like 5 seconds doing one thing, optimize the hell out of it, because the faster that you can go from one call to another over the course of like 365 days of the year, you're going to save like hours of time just by optimizing that one thing. So I'm a very, very big advocate for try to optimize your workflow as much as possible. And and once you get to work on like making phone calls, make phone calls until you're done with the phone call part of the hour. Like usually what I'll do is like for 45 minutes out of an hour, I'll make phone calls. But I'm just dialing the entire time. Like for those 45 minutes, I'll dial, I'll take like a hit of the vape, like refresh myself a little bit, might take a sip of coffee, and then go for the next person. And after that, go for the next person. After that, go for the next person, and take another hit of the vape, and then just keep going. But then I reward myself by like, so like in 45 minutes, I made 25 phone calls. So it's like, okay, I've made 25 phone calls. Tyler, how about you go and like you go listen to some music real quick, or you watch a YouTube video or something along those lines. Go eat something, and like rewarding myself.
That's important. The reinforcement is important.
Absolutely.
That
positive reinforcement.
Something. Yeah, I think it was the last episode or something that we briefly mentioned the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
25 minutes and then 5-minute break. Like, yeah, well, you're doing 45, 15, but the idea is the same thing. Is like you don't overload yourself with continuous, because you can only be at the top of your production level for so long, right? You can only remain as fresh for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't make the same quality of phone calls or be dedicated to a task for more than like a couple minutes. Like I say couple, but like 40 minutes maybe maximum. And quite honestly, dude, like I say like 45, 15, but really how it works out is like 10 minutes dialing, like 2-3 minute rest, 10 minutes dialing, 2-3 minute rest. It's usually more like that, where I'll split it up even more.
Right. Yeah. But I see. Yeah. If it makes you more productive, I mean, quality over quantity.
Definitely. Yeah.
If you go for like 2 hours straight with no breaks whatsoever, the call that you make as you're heading into the the last 5 minutes is not the same call that you're doing in the first 5 minutes of those 2 hours.
Absolutely.
There's and that's part of optimizing your process of you create a routine where you
turn yourself into a machine. Be that fucking machine.
You're sacrificing. Sacrificing is not the right word. The free time that you might have later on, you're using it to make the time that you are working more effective, to make it more worthwhile.
Yeah,
because you're fresh. You stay consistently at the same level.
Right. You're fresh. You're happier too. Like, and that's another thing is like a big part of sales is like you want you want to convey energy whenever you're selling shit to people, right? So I mean, like if you're just calling to schedule meetings, dude, if the first words out of your mouth don't sound like you're like super fucking positive, people are going to immediately pick up on that and be like, oh, what's this low energy guy calling me for? Dude, whenever I start a phone call, here's a pitch. I'll actually use an example pitch right here. It's like, hi. So I usually go like, hey there, blank. This is Tyler calling with blank. How is the end of your Friday shaping up right now? And then they'll usually be like, you know, it's like something like that, where it's like, it's a little bit different because most people in sales, like that I've noticed, you go, how are you? You know, and it's just kind of like, and it's a little bit too regular. So I change it up just a little tiny bit so that like, they hear something a little bit new and they consider it. And so go, how's your Friday shaping up to end? Or how's it coming along? And they'll usually be like, oh, you know, it's a little bit busy, or like, you know, oh, it's coming along. You know, I'm on my third. You know, like I'm got a lot of stuff to do in the next 30 minutes, something along those lines.
Right.
I don't know.
And I mean, yeah. You know, it's, yeah. I think that's a great way to step in.
Mm-hmm. And you can only do that if you're like relaxed and happy. You can't keep doing that if you don't take a rest.
Yeah, you cannot go into your 100th call. You know, if you're using that same intro, with the same energy of the first call, if you don't pace yourself, right? And I think that's what you're doing really well.
Yeah,
you're pacing yourself.
Just make yourself happy. Like keep yourself happy.
Yeah, that's actually increasing your chances of getting a lead rather than diminishing them. Because people think, oh, he's taking breaks like every call. He's wasting time. No, he's not wasting time. He's making the time more worthwhile, because it's only worthwhile if he gets the lead, if he can can schedule that meeting, if he can, you know, fulfill that follow up. You know, it's. I think that's one of the greatest misconceptions of today's day. Like
the gotta be culture where it's like, dude, like you gotta make sure to like take a rest so that you can you'll perform better that way. It depends. I mean, I think it depends on the job. Like there's a lot of jobs that like, you know, you're resting while you're working and stuff like that, I guess. But I mean, like for most jobs that I'm aware of, dude, it's like you should take like quick rest in between. Listen to music, dude. Like music is fucking therapeutic. You know, it's like listen to music in between calls. Yep. You know, that's fine, dude. Like just go chill out for a second. But and I don't know, it's like whenever you feel that way of like, okay, so like now I introduced like, okay, well, how's your Friday going, right? And they usually come back with something like at least a little bit like, usually I get like a response that's a little bit different than like a response to how are you. They usually think about it and be like, oh, you know, it's not too bad today. I'm like, and then it's like, oh, good. You know, it's the same for me. I'll put in a personal detail. I'd be like, oh, you know, the sun's shining over here in Austin, and I've been, and some sun's shining over here in Austin, and I feel pretty good myself. And then they're like, good, you know, and then you've established yourself as a human being. You know, it's like, now it's like, oh, okay, I'm actually talking to a person, not a fucking robot.
Yeah, it's not a salesman bot.
Yeah,
that I'm talking to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they can fucking get it.
And that can be all the difference, right?
That is the difference. I mean, I think that is why you are a salesperson in the first place, is because it's like, okay, you have a good, because my mentor Mark, he I say mentor, but he's just a nice guy that helps me out, to be honest. But he's in the Bay Area still, but he told me like, yeah, I think you do good in sales, and I was like, oh, why is that? Like, how do you identify somebody that would do good in sales? And he was like, well, like you have a good personality and people enjoy talking to you. which I took that as like a very, as a compliment. So I thanked him, obviously. But then he said, no, it's like, that's people want to interact with people that make their lives better, right? And I said, you don't interact with like negative, like fucking downtrodden people, generally speaking. It's just kind of how it's like a cold reality of life, But and so really focusing on your personality, that's the way that you differentiate yourself. Is how do you let your personality shine through whenever you're making those phone calls? How do you bring the best of yourself and represent yourself with fidelity to your character? And I think that's the most important thing for that I've understood for sales. Just being you. It really is being you, as cliche as that sounds, because you are the differentiating factor. That's the reason why companies will hire salespeople, is because they're because of how they talk and because of their personality and because of how likable or how positive they are, or something, and so I don't know, like usually, like if people sound negative when if they're like, oh, I got a lot of work to do right now, usually I go, fair enough. I'm on my second cup of coffee right now too. I'm just trying to plow through the day. And I'll make like a joke or something like that, just like me being me. And then they'll usually like chuckle, just at whatever stupid joke that I made. Because I make stupid jokes all the time. It's like a part of what I do. And then they're usually a lot more receptive. And at the very least, like if they don't want a meeting or of any sort, they're at least pleasant to talk to, because I'm being pleasant to talk to them. I initiated that. I'm like, hey, this is going to be a pleasant conversation whether you like it or not. Like I'm like, this isn't like me being aggressively friendly. I'm like, this is going to be a good conversation and you're going to like it.
Right.
I'm going to make you like this conversation.
You're saying this. Yeah, exactly. People wanna talk. They don't want to be pitched something. And just just straight up, because I guess that's the thing with a lot of the differentiating factor, as you put it. It's people in sales that don't grasp this idea of a conversation, and they basically strip the human factor from the conversation, and it just becomes like a cold, dry sales pitch without empathy, without they just want to
no dialogue. Like it's like you're calling somebody. You're not like recording yourself. Like just fucking talking. Like we're talking right now. I'm kind of pitching today because I'm talking about my job. But usually when we talk, it's a conversation. Like you talk, I talk, and we exchange ideas.
Yeah. And as you were saying this, like I was thinking about other branches of marketing, for example, like copywriting, and specifically copywriting for digital outlets, for websites, for magazines, social media posts, etc. Where that nowadays there's a big concern over SEO. And
yes, absolutely.
And the SEO is definitely
actually.
Extremely
could you
important.
Explain SEO real quick? What does it stand for?
SEO stands for search engine optimization.
Yes.
And if you, I think the moral of this episode is optimize. If you can find something to optimize, even in the way that you write it, even the way that you research optimize it, everything.
We were talking pretty specifically with sales, but it is definitely a call to optimize whatever you do. 100% yes, that is definitely what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Optimize your mic setup, optimize the sales, optimize the
yeah.
the copy that you write, But SEO, basically, it's you you try to, understanding how Google ranks the pages and
or any other search algorithms or any other other search engines, but mainly Google.
Yeah,
mainly
Google. Yeah, I say Google because search engines in general, how they function, how they rank the pages. You adapt your copy to ensure that your post, your page, your whatever you're doing,
whatever media that you post on the internet,
has the best chance possible of being ranked first or at the top of searches for whatever keywords that are
trending or are being Googled, and you're optimizing little by little what keywords that you use that people respond to or people look for, and that's a very, very big thing. That's what SEO is for. It's to find what words people are searching and then match what people's what their queries are, whatever they ask. You want to have the answer for that, and that's the basic premise of SEO. I think is making sure that your answer is the answer to the questions that people are asking. I think that's just the basic premise of what SEO is, which is an optimization of an answer. And it's pretty similar to what we're talking like. And this relates to the conversation we're having about sales, in the sense that you optimize what keywords people are using, what people look for. In sales, a lot of times you look for what people respond to. And that's kind of similar in the sense that like you just iterate and see what works the best. If you can get your page ranked number 1, that's fantastic. If you can turn 50% of the conversations that you have into lead conversions, that's fantastic. It's optimizing so that you can reach that point of optimal performance. That's literally optimization, optimal performance. That's the way I think about that.
Right. What I was going to say is, yes, absolutely, SEO is extremely important, but the copywriter has to do a sort of balancing. Mm-hmm. Like, he cannot forget that he is writing, that he is human, and that he is writing for people, and like, one thing does not diminish the other. You still have to follow the best SEO procedures that you can. You have to make sure that your keywords are set up right. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff. There's just so much.
There's
stuff,
a lot,
as far as SEO
Neil
goes.
Patel. It sounds like did you learn this from Neil Patel?
Actually, I learned this from a YouTube video. It was an interview on a copywriter.
Okay.
That used to be, I think, just an editorial copywriter, and then went on to went on to write for digital outlets, for online. So he had to become very much aware of everything SEO related, and his point was, don't disregard the SEO, obviously, mm-hmm. but keep in mind you are writing for people, and so for organic, for readers, for actually human beings. So always
it's not
prioritize.
Just keywords.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You're not trying to. Your focus should not be, I gotta include this term at least 5 times in my copy, like in the article that I'm writing or something,
Or at least it shouldn't be your only focus.
No. It's your main focus should be writing good copy, like for persuasive copy for people, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit the same with what you're doing. Is the main focus is having a good conversation with people that leads them into, you know, becoming a lead for you, into conversion, you know, not just now I gotta get, you know, this message to you, you know, like now I gotta hit you with my pitch kind of thing. You know, it's retain this idea that you are dealing with human beings, and they need to know that you see them as such in your pitch, you know, in your interaction with them. That's what I wanted to say.
For sure. I mean, that's kind of relevant to that quality over quantity that you're talking about. It's like, okay, well, if you optimize your SEO to include specific words that make people come to your page and you have good traffic, that's great. It's fantastic. But perhaps focusing on just that, like you might get a lot of traffic, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to convert or to sell things that you want to sell through the copy, right? Because the thing is, like, you're not writing the copy for just for the sake of writing the copy. It's like there's a reason why you're writing it. I mean, for the podcast course that we're making, there's a specific purpose. Like, I'm not sure if I told you about this. Like, besides the fact that I just enjoy, like making the podcast course, there's also the added purpose of I don't like it when a lot of those like douchey here's a course on how I became ripped in 30 days, and you can have the secrets to my greatness if you pay me $15, and it's just like, I'm just not a big fan of that. So I was like, okay, well, and by the way, if you provide really, really premium content, like Gordon Ramsay's masterclass, yeah, you should absolutely pay for it because Gordon Ramsay is an excellent chef. But it's like, have a little bit of humility and think, okay, well, I'm not an expert, but I'm gonna charge for my course. Like, so who are you? Who are you to like charge? Like, you can try to charge for it if you want, but I'm just not a very big fan of people who are not experienced providing information to people under the guise that they're, or not under the guise, but it's like they're like it's almost like they're scamming people out of money because they're providing the wrong information. And so what I'd rather do is I'd rather provide good information because I'm not like, we're not masters of podcasts, but we are experienced in podcasts. So it's like, okay, well, we have our little 2 cents, 2 cents worth. But I also want to provide that for free. And, for anyone who's trying to, like, who just started a podcast and is like a similar situation to us and wants to do like a podcast, like a paid podcast course, how about you wait a couple of years? And anyone that has like a similar quality of podcast course, I personally want to make this course free for the sake of providing an alternative that they don't have to pay for, so that we can provide you good information without you having to get scammed out of money. Like, you save those $15 and invest that into a new microphone. You know what I mean? It's like there's like a motivation for you behind that. And so we're writing, so you write copy for a reason. That's what I was talking about. Is like you write copy for because there's a purpose for it. And don't forget that purpose of why you're writing the copy in the first place. Don't make it all about getting people to come to the page. Make sure that the message that you want to convey to the other person is clear. That is the most important part. That's pretty similar to what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, that it's clear that the person, wants to keep reading, basically, because what you'll see is that, like, and this was more prevalent in past years where the algorithms were not so worked out, so developed, which is like, which were, you would have these pages which were just, they were just attention seeking pages with no real content, with no real juice to them. It was just filler, include as many tags and keywords as possible, just to deceive the crawlers and such, into putting your page on the top of the rankings, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the kind of the predicament of the SEO, of an SEO only approach that some copywriters may fall trap to, is like, okay, the page is generating traffic, but why is it not converting? Why is the bounce rate so big?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
On the one hand,
the
statistics of traffic is great. Having it ranked number 1, or at least on the top 10, is great. But the way things are today, we can figure out, we can understand that just those things don't tell the whole picture, don't tell the whole story.
Like, just the keywords, like just oriented towards keywords. It doesn't convey the entire message. It's more oriented towards getting you in, rather than getting you in and then retaining you, which is really what it's for. You're supposed to have someone click on it and be like, oh, this is very, very helpful. I mean, because I don't want to waste anybody's time just by creating bullshit content, right?
Exactly, yeah. And what you were saying about the douchey people, that stands very true, because these are people. I think they make two great mistakes. One is they think they're the shit, which they're not. Most people, that do those things, sell those programs and all that gibberish. And number 2, they want to sell you this product as a one size fits all, which is rarely the case for almost everything. Like with our podcast course, for example, the tools, we give you a range of tools for you to choose from, and and we go in detail, what's your budget, what's the setting, are you gonna have guests, or is it gonna be just you?
It's just genuinely helpful.
Yeah, and it's thought out, in terms of in the shoes of the consumer. We take on the role of anyone who
wants to start a podcast.
Anyone who wants to start a podcast, and whatever their setting might be,
Well, and we were once there too. We were at the point where it's like, oh, we need it. We want to start a podcast. Let's look for some information. And it's like, well, shit. What would I have wanted if I were going to start a podcast?
Yeah, and we're not just here oh, this worked this way for us, so I guess it works the same way for everybody. No, it's different. It's different with different people, with different backgrounds, with a different model. I mean, that was the first lesson, establishing your model, your podcast idea and concept.
Dude, for example, our podcast is so recreationally focused in comparison to a lot of other podcasts. Because we do a lot of different things. We have people that are on that are musicians. We talk about sales. We talk about marketing. And ours is our podcast is very, it's very general in comparison to a lot of other podcasts. It's not as niche as a lot of other ones. And, most podcasts are pretty, like, a lot of podcasts that I've seen have been pretty niche. The ones that are popular a lot of times are very niche, and that's, that works for them. For us, like, the Broke Homies podcast, dude, I like that we can talk about people's various passions, and the central theme kind of goes to like, okay, we have a passion. How do we turn that into a reality? And, we just talk about different ways and different industries and different pursuits that we can introduce. We can introduce you to a lot of talented people that are part of those different pursuits. And that's what we do. It's like we keep it kind of open-ended for you. And we want to make sure that you think through it as well. Like, we don't want to provide you with like a one-to-one, like a path. It's not, we're not providing you with a road. We're providing you with a trajectory, a starting point, just somewhere to go from. And it's like, and that's really what we're here to do. Like, I just like, tell me if this doesn't sound right to you, Danny, if this sounds wrong to you. If 5 years from now, we're doing this podcast and we have like a good viewer base. We have a decent viewer base right now as well. Getting a lot of different listeners in other places. But let's say like we have like 20,000 listeners like a month or something like that. That'd be great. Let's say that, and then we start getting messages saying like, "Hey, I listened to your podcast course, and I started a podcast on vintage video games, and that's really what I really wanted to do." And I read your podcast course, and I thought, okay, well, I guess like I was thinking about doing like a blog or something. But then I saw like why I should use a podcast instead, and it ended up being like the right decision for me. Like if we get like a message saying like, "Hey, thank you for providing that information to us," and that really helped me grow my podcast, dude, that'd make like all of the effort worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly
that'd be
what
fantastic.
Just ran through my mind. Yeah, those were the exact words. Like, all the effort was worthwhile.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like we help somebody.
It yeah, and yeah, that it is the best way to be paid back in a way.
The knowledge of having
what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. That our stuff, the stuff that we put out there is actually helping
meaningful.
People. Yeah, and it's helping people find fulfillment, which is kind of the big idea behind starting this podcast, the central theme behind when we first started this podcast, and still to this day.
Yeah, that's what we do. Like, hey, what do you like, and how do you do it?
Yep. Yeah, and. Yeah, and like you said, I guess that's one of the great things of this podcast is you can have anyone in this podcast, because
anyone that has ambitions, anyone that's working on something, trying to make their lives better.
Yeah. Anyone that wants to transform their passion into,
or usually the people that we have on the podcast are people that are working towards it, not people that. Like that, just as a thing, like people that we have on the podcast, I do want to say that we generally pick people that are working towards their passion or have like made significant headway in achieving their goals, because we want to make sure that we provide like people's perspectives a bit further down the road than from where people that are listening to this podcast are.
True.
Yeah,
but I think it's a process.
It's absolutely a process.
It's a process. Yeah. So if our podcast can somehow help those people that are in the process, it's fantastic. Yeah. It's fantastic,
That's
people who that's why I really like when we have like Nick and Austin and Chris, those guys, and get their perspective of what has been their road. Yeah, of what's been their road, their ups and downs.
Yeah.
And the lessons that they've learned. Yep. Yeah, but it's, I see it all as a like it's a ride. It's a ride. It has its bumps. It has its ups and downs, but it's all part of a journey that is worthwhile.
Right. And it's your journey
in of itself has meaning.
That's the thing that I like about it, is that it's your journey. It's like, this is like we all, like, everyone uses like the term like journey, trip, and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, you have a finite life, right? And you have a life that you are only given a certain amount of years to live, and you should ask yourself at several points throughout your life, what would be the most worthwhile way to spend my time? And this is what we're keying in on, is, okay, this is a pursuit that I have, something that I want to accomplish, and I don't know how to do it. It's like, dude, let's save you some time, because, like, dude, by the time you're like 80, 90, you're going to be in the grave. You're going to be dead. And the first 50 years of your life are really the ones where you have the energy to be able to pursue new shit. So it's like, okay, well, dude, let's save you a couple hours. Let's save you a couple hours by giving you information that you could need in a very, very well done way. Let's like, motivate you to do shit that you've been wanting to do. Because again, the finite nature of life, and this is getting really philosophical, but pushes you to do shit that you wouldn't do if life were infinite, right? Like, if it just lasted forever. And so there is a journey, and the journey is ongoing until it ends, right? And so we want to make sure that we can help you use the time that you have in the most meaningful way possible, and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish before you meet your end. And that's again very philosophical,
right?
But I'm a big believer in that. It's like, if you got a limited amount of time, make sure you use it in the best way possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think anyone who has been able to transform their passion into their profession, has that in mind, has the awareness of how finite is our time here on Earth, and and
why else would you work
fast? That the clock is running. What?
Why else would you work fast, right? Why else would you work? If you just live forever, then why would you work? Sleep faster.
Yeah. Sleep faster. Yeah,
that's your favorite fucking phrase. Was it? Actually, that's actually a good note. Explain that real quick. The Arnold Schwarzenegger thing.
I think it's very straightforward.
Funny video.
He was, I think he was talking about how he had a really fucked up schedule back when he first came to America. Like, because he was doing bodybuilding already at that time, but he was also working in construction. I think that was it. And he was also taking classes, acting classes. And I think he was doing a couple of other things. And so he almost had no time to sleep. And it paid off. Like, and the idea is...
And It was during a university speech, wasn't it? Like it was like a graduation speech at some I can't remember what it might have been, like Stanford or Harvard or something like that.
Something like that, and he gave the example of somebody, like if somebody says, "Well, I can't sleep like 6 hours. I gotta have at least 8 hours of sleep." Something along those lines. And he was like, no matter, sleep faster.
It's so funny, dude. It's hilarious. It's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. It's
one of my favorite phrases of all time. It's just like, oh, dude, it's like, I just gotta get 8 hours of sleep. By the way, I get 8 hours of sleep, so I'm talking shit about myself when I say this. I usually sleep 8 hours.
Likewise, same here.
Yeah. But the thing is, I sleep 8 hours, but the concept comes across where it's like, sleep faster. It's like, damn. It's and the thing is, what he's talking about is like he's quite literally talking about like like maybe cut some hours of sleep so that you can have more time and do shit, right? I don't necessarily agree with that concept, but what I do agree with is hustle. Is like that's the biggest that's the overarching theme of what he's talking about. It's like, you don't have enough time, make sure to make more time. It's like if you're spending time like doing some stupid shit, like I don't know, like you watch like you spend like 5 hours a day like watching TV or something like that. It's like, dude, cut that. Like maybe cut it to like, I don't know, like an hour or two a day. Maybe like an hour a day, and then like, I don't know, like for the other like 6-7 hours that you have free, like why don't you just like invest that into like bettering yourself, and or like working towards your goals. The idea is that like if you want something, put in the fucking effort, which is what I understood from the Sleep Faster, the famous from the beloved Arnold.
Yeah, and this goes back to what seems to be the main subject of this podcast episode is optimize everything about your daily life, about your work, about because that's the thing. Like I'm not an advocate, for sleeping less, but I am an advocate for one fighting for what you wanna do that makes you happy. And
same. I mean, that's the central theme of this podcast. That's literally what we do. It's like, fucking, if you want to do something, do it.
Yeah, and number 2, don't waste time. I
agree.
Don't waste time. Like why would why would you sacrifice hours of sleep and rest, which are important for your your brain functioning, when you are wasting hours of sleep, you're wasting hours awake in stuff that
I agree
is that is not, it's this micromanagement of our schedule and how things affect us that really at the core of optimizing, and that really it's really the differentiating factor between
successful and non-successful people.
Yeah, exactly. Between turning your passion into your vocation and not being able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, fuck,
like
man. There's so many people out there that want to make a podcast and make it successful, and it's like, well, you have to prove to the fucking world that the podcast that you're doing is going to be the podcast that people listen to over other ones. Why? Because you fucking sleep less. No, I'm just kidding. It's not because you sleep less. It's because you work harder. You put in more effort, you think more. You're driven, and it's usually what it is. It's definitely definitely important to optimize your lifestyle and make that routine like you're talking about. That will keep you on the right track. That will get you closer and closer to the goal that you want to achieve. That is very, very important. and sticking to that and finding ways to stick to that. Be honest with yourself. Like, I don't know if you relate with this, Danny, but whenever I was in like a lot of different jobs, I would try to do way too many things at once, or I would try to use too much of my time in a specific way. I would try to be like overproductive. Like I can't take a 15-20 minute rest. Dude, like the way I think about it is the rest is part of the work. The rest is part of the work.
To be quite frank, that's something that I've realized in the last few days that I've struggled with is like, you know, turning off, switching off. You know, I'm constantly thinking that I've got to do this and I can stop. I need to, you know, keep going. You know, like never stopping, never taking breaks. You know, and it has been very detrimental. You know,
to the longevity of your pursuits. Dude, I mean,
just on a daily basis, you know.
A good example I think is with. Okay, so this is how my week is set up, right? From Monday through Friday, I'm working. And usually I work, I said like I wake up at 8, not wake up at 8, I wake up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then I work at 8. And then I fucking kick ass during the day, and then I'll get off at 5. But I'll usually spend 30 minutes or an hour afterwards finishing up some stuff because I want to make sure that I do my job well, right? And then afterwards, dude, like I treat myself to something. Like I'll get some like a can of beer or like a can of Trulies or something like that. And then maybe I'll go read a book because again, reading is something that's productive. But you know, I'll do things that I'll balance things that are productive and things that are fun. And so, oftentimes
that's important.
Yeah, it's like you got to have both. At least for me, like everyone has like a different balance. You know, so you know, I can work from 8 to 6, and then I want to make sure that I have like a good meal and some good alcohols. But generally speaking, like at least every other day, I'm working on something. After I get off of work, I might watch some educational videos on how to be a better salesperson. And my Sundays, a lot of times, are days where I kind of do a bit of resting while I take care of other like outside of work things. Like for example, today we're doing this podcast on a Sunday, right? And then I also did a lot of my studying for a certification that I'm trying to take, the HubSpot inbound sales certification. And so I'm working on a lot of different things on Sunday. But dude, on Saturday is like my fun day. Dude, like on Saturday, I go out to Barton Springs, which is like a place over here in Austin. I go swim for a day. It's fun. I just fucking don't worry about anything else. I just go have fun on Saturday. But on Sunday, there's a little bit of work involved, a little bit of rest. You know, like it's like a balance of both. And then on Monday, I'm right back to kicking ass. You know, it's a good balance. It's like a good routine that helps me out. It's like Saturday water day is the way that I always refer to it over here. We always do something on Saturday.
Saturday what?
Saturday water day. Like we
Saturday
go
water day.
Yeah, like we went. We go either floating or we go to the springs. It's generally one of those two things.
Dope. Oh, dude, I haven't been to the springs in so long.
For sure.
But no, for real, yeah.
So, what do you think? About ready to wrap up the episode, or do you got a couple things you want to say?
No. If I keep going, yeah, it's just gonna be me like ranting about all stuff, being a little how I need to pace myself, basically.
Okay, so let's see. Broke Homies Podcast. We're over on Instagram at Broke Homies Podcast. So BROKLHOMIES LAHOMIES podcast. We're also at broklahomies.com. So we have our 2 courses that we made for our podcast, and those are going to be on that website. And we also have a bunch of episodes. This is our podcast number 19. Not to mention, we also want to do a little sneak peek, but we're going to have something special coming up for episode 20. So keep yourselves tuned for that. Danny's doing a lot of work to get that episode 20 be as special as possible. So don't want to hype it up too much, but it's gonna be pretty good. And let's see, Danny, anything to add?
Dude, I just love that I have a new microphone, man. It's so good. It feels so good.
Fair enough. Well, you guys, keep listening to the podcast, and be looking forward to the future episodes that we make with this newfound audio quality. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys sometime soon.